Alright, what's going on, guys? Try back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing your daily Walking Dead video for today. In this one, we're going to start with giving our thoughts on a recent interview Entertainment Weekly had with Andrew Lincoln, who of course plays Rick Grimes, and him standing by everybody involved with the series defending Season 7. Spoiler warning if you're not cut up for Walking Dead as usual. And afterwards, we'll get into some of your guys' questions. So keep sending me your questions, guys. We don't have that much time now. We're getting pretty close. And I'm getting a little bit more excited each day and starting to get it back after the video on Sunday and stuff. We discussed it. We talked about it. And, starting to get a little bit more hyped now, I think, getting ready for the show. At least I am. So Andrew Lincoln has heard the complaints from some fans about The Walking Dead Season 7. And he admitted to Entertainment Weekly that it was even painful for him during filming of the first half of the season, but he tells viewers to have faith and insists that his faith in the writers and producers crafting the story has never wavered. This season made a lot more sense once we got to the last roll of film in the can for episode 17, says Lincoln. We asked the star about his reaction to any negative fan feedback, and he talked about brave, bold, and also challenging story that we're attempting. Entertainment Weekly, you all warned us that the first half of Season 7 would be pretty brutal. What do you make of the complaints by some that it was too brutal? And so he said, Scott Gimple explained it to me one way, which I found very helpful, which was that rather than just have a very cool, exciting build-up to war between Negan and Rick, he wanted people to want more than that, to really feel that they wanted justice, and then to acknowledge the cost of what had happened and why they were willing to risk it all again, while realizing that they were putting many, many, many lives back in the firing line. I think he really wanted it to feel like the audience, rather than just baying for blood, wanted justice for what had happened, and that for me was quite a helpful way of understanding why it had to be so immersive and so painful. Certainly for all of us on set and acting in it, but also I think for the audience. So let's just stop there. There's more we'll get to in a bit, but that's kind of what a lot of us have been thinking for the first half, and you could even see it from the point of view shots in the premiere, and I think Greg Nicotero has touched on it a little bit, and kind of just the way they went with the premiere of kind of making us feel like we were seeing things from Rick's perspective, which the premiere of Season 7 was really incredible, especially when they they go into that kind of first-person view, when you kind of look over to your right, and you see, almost like maybe a video game or something, you look over to your right from Rick's perspective, and you see Abraham get it, and then you see afterwards Glenn get it. So it's just, oh man, it really was immersive, and maybe that's true also too, that they wanted us to kind of feel the pain that the characters are going through, and for some people that could be off-putting, and they may not want to be put in that situation, but it is true also that later on, once we get to all-out war, it will make us feel emotionally, it'll be very gratifying because we have kind of been under Negan as well. We're kind of in the shoes of Rick, so to speak, rather than just kind of watching Rick and watching the characters. It feels like we're right there with them, and I think that is a good call, even though it might not feel that good short term. Long term, that's going to be something that makes everybody kind of emotionally remember, and it'll give it more meaning once the war starts. So you're pretty good about distracting yourself from all the outside noise and chatter, but when you put your blood, sweat, and tears into this, is it difficult when you hear people complaining about it? And it says, look, that's the whole point of when you create something. It opens a discussion, doesn't it? And ultimately, you have your own individual reaction, whatever it may be. And obviously, you don't want it to be negative, but if you're endeavoring to make something different and unique and challenging and hopefully dangerous and new, sometimes it might provoke different reactions from people. And I stand by everybody telling this story, particularly the writers and everybody directing it. I think it's very brave, a bold, and also challenging story that we're attempting. And that kind of goes back a bit to the premiere and kind of the brutality of the premiere. I personally thought it was almost like pretty much exactly what it should be based on the comics, which is kind of why a lot of us were upset about kind of the backlash that it received and that kind of stuff, because it's like, I thought it was almost perfect. I thought like that's what you should do, in the premiere with season 7, episode 1. I thought that's what it should be based on the comics. I mean, it definitely was not disappointing to me to see it adapted in that way. I was not disappointed with it. Was a huge build-up, but then when they actually did it, I wasn't disappointed with the premiere myself. It was kind of what I expected it to be. But I think maybe some people, they just are kind of forgetting what The Walking Dead is at core, right? What it is at origin. And you guys have always paid it off. I remember back in season 2 when the search for Sophia was taking seemingly forever, yet then we got to the barn and the payoff was totally worth it. That's really cool because until I read this part, I totally forgot about that. But now that he said that, I remember exactly what he's talking about, because when I was making reviews week to week back in season 2, there was a tremendous amount of complaints about it because season 1 was so awesome, and then season 2, the premiere was incredible, and then the first half dragged because it's like they kept looking around for Sophia. You had Daryl, and he'd go look through like a little barn or shed or something, a little house type thing, kind of in the woods, and there'd be like nothing there, not even any zombies or anything. And people complained like crazy at some of those episodes. But then once Sophia stumbled out of the barn, everybody was like, "Holy shit!" and everybody shut the F right up. So that's a good point, and I forgot all about that. But of course, Rick remembers, right? Very cool. As I said before, people are absolutely entitled to feeling exactly what they want to feel about the show, and it's interesting the way that people view it differently now. And I know people want to watch more than one episode a week at a time just because it's kind of compulsive, the storytelling, and they want to know what happens next. And I think sometimes having to wait is a good thing because you get to recap on other things and view it in a different way. Although I would say that this season made a lot more sense once we got to the last roll of film in the can for episode 17. The brilliant writers that we have take some risks, and I admire them for it. I admire anybody taking risks. Very cool, man. So you guys can click the link for yourselves if you want to read it over and kind of get your thoughts on it together. I just thought it was a really, really cool interview, especially him, referencing season 2, because I totally forgot all about that. But that is true that this does mirror that in a lot of ways, even though this has kind of been more, I guess, a little bit more of kind of a wait to see them fight back against Negan. But there's been some good stuff in between too, I think, too, right? The mid-season finale was pretty awesome. There's a lot of comedy, that we haven't really had prior in the series. So, and episode 7 was really good from Carl and Negan and everything. So it's it's had some really good stuff too. It's definitely not all negative. It's definitely not all bad. Very cool. So yeah, I'm excited to see the finale for the season and what he's talking about. I'm not sure exactly which scene he's talking about, but I think it might have to do with kind of all out war and that kind of starting up, right? That kind of getting going. Like we might see some of the beginning of all out war in this one. But season 8, it sounds like the season finale for this one should be awesome, and then maybe season 8 could be the best season ever, which is actually a good thing. It kind of lends to like season 7 is a big builder, and then season 8 is like the best ever. That would be really cool. So we'll see if it all works out like that. Write your comments below on what you guys think about the interview with him, and let's do a few more of your guys' questions. So Riley Blue says, Trev, do you think The Walking Dead spends too much time trying to build up towards a great mid-season / season finale instead of giving fans a great show throughout? So for Riley, it's kind of tricky, like as Andrew Lincoln was just addressing in this interview with Entertainment Weekly. Sometimes you need to have a build up, right? Like sometimes you can have stuff throughout and it's really awesome. Like season 3 is a good example of where you have episodes like Killer Within, where literally you kind of have a mid-season finale at episode 4, I believe, because you had there was Walk With Me and then Killer Within. And Killer Within had 2 huge deaths in it. I mean, one humongous death, right? You guys remember. That was as big as a mid-season finale could be. If Gimple was doing that, I could almost guarantee you 100%, and he probably would even say so himself too, if he was the showrunner, instead of that being episode 4, that probably would have been the mid-season finale, and they probably would have written some stuff in between and had some other stuff happen beforehand, and then made that the mid-season finale, and then done some other things and really paced that out a little bit better. So obviously, there's reasons why they build 2 big finales and big premieres and things like that, and why they do cliffhangers. They work, and Walking Dead is by no means the only show that does cliffhangers. Cliffhangers work is all there is to it. When you have a big cliffhanger or a really exciting finale, people are going to come back the next year. Even though there's a big waiting time in between, they're going to come back and they're going to watch it again. So they have to, do the show the way it makes most sense for them to do it. And I guess having big mid-season finales and having big finales and premieres too is a really good way to really get your audience to come back after breaks and maybe even increase and grow, right? Of course, as you go through, as The Walking Dead has up until this season, pretty much, and season 6 too was a little bit down from season 5 for some reason. So it'd be cool to see stuff throughout, and maybe they could break it up a little bit more, where maybe the mid-season finales and the finales might not be as good, and take some of that stuff and kind of pace it out a bit. But hey, that's kind of the way you have to run a show if you want to keep it running well, right? Of course, and people coming back. Angus McBride says, "Hey, Trev, in the UK, I love your name, Angus. That's awesome. You've asked questions before. As if I had a friend with the last name McBride too. In the UK, I don't talk like that, but in the UK, we have got a new promo from Fox. It is very similar to the Rise Up one we had a few months back, but contains some new footage of Dwight and Ezekiel. Dwight is running for something. So what do you think he's running to or away from? Thanks, keep up the good work. Been here for 2 years. Well, thanks for your support, Angus. Makes me want to go to McDonald's. Okay, sorry. Dwight running. So the Ezekiel stuff is just like whatever. It's no big deal. But the Dwight running one is actually kind of cool. If you guys haven't seen this, I'll put the link in the description. Yeah, I'll just explain it to you. Dwight's running through the hallway. It looks like it's in the cell part where he had Daryl. So it looks to me like Dwight probably just found out in the premiere that Daryl's gone, and he's like, oh shit, I'm going to get the other half of my face burned off. So he's probably like running, scrambling, probably finds Fat Joey. It's probably going to be like what happened after. Now, some people think Dwight's the one who freed Daryl, but, Jesus was there. Like, Jesus was right there. We know he was in and around. So I guess either Jesus probably is most likely, Sherry is possible, but most likely we're looking at Jesus right now. I think Dwight just found out that Daryl's gone, and he's thinking his ass is going to be grass. So we'll see what kind of fight or flight response this ensues in him. And if this is the point when he decides, okay, I better get the F out of here because my ass is just going to be, it's going to be in all kinds of hurt. I better get out of here. So, and that's one thing about leading through fear, which is what Negan does. If you lead through fear like that, and people think that they're going to get themselves in trouble, and they run into a situation like Dwight is in now, they might just take off and try to run, because they probably feel like if Negan finds out that he let that happen when he was in charge, because Dwight was basically in charge of keeping track of Daryl, and now Daryl's gone and Fat Joey's dead, Negan is going to be pissed, and Lucille has a bullet in her. So Negan is going to be pissed. So maybe he's going to get the hell out of there. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Pop Culture Stuff says, hey Trev, I just remembered a small plot hole in The Walking Dead they never came back to. Deanna exiled a group of people from Alexandria. They didn't show up with the Wolves or Negan. Do you think they're dead at this point, or could they show up as part of the Junkyard, the Scrappers, or the Whisperers, or another group? So that's true, and in the comics it's the same. There's a character in the comics, Alexander Davidson, I believe was his name, that Douglas talks about, but we never see him after that. Like he's never a thing, So yeah, that's tricky. Maybe Kirkman was trying to do something with that, and maybe he dropped it, or maybe Alexandria, named after Alexander Davidson. I don't know 100%, but at this point, I wouldn't read much more into it. We probably will never see anything from it again. Some things just get dropped. It's just what it is. It's the nature of, they're doing a lot. They got a lot of different groups and stuff. And some characters might just get dropped here or there. Or things might get explored more. Other things might not. Cigar Nixica says, Trev, at what time was Rick's group the strongest in terms of fighters, numbers, and their capabilities? So I think I did this one already. I think I answered this one already for you, Cigar Nixica, in another video a little while ago. I forget which Q&A it was because we do so many because we're doing it on daily that I forget exactly. But I think I said somewhere around start of season 6 because you had numbers. You had a lot of numbers with that. Season 5 was really tough group. Rick with the beard and everything. That was pretty sweet. But maybe once you had Morgan in there and you had a lot of the others from Alexandria as fodder, red shirts, then you're looking at a pretty damn tough group. Absolutely. So last one will be from Fier07112 says, Trevshan 2, Daryl has gone through a major character change. Dwight being the rightful owner of the crossbow biker look by the comics. What do you think his usefulness is now to the show, and will he be killed off, being as though Dwight is still around in the comics? Okay, so you want to get a little bit into that. I mean, I have noticed how the show has been slowly easing us off Daryl since season 6 with limited and even filler screen time, and it's very obvious we can't have Dwight and Daryl under the same roof with all that Dwight has done. And yeah, so I get where you're going with this. I've talked about this a number of times in Q&As, Fire, so you can go back and look through some of the prior ones about Daryl and Dwight. I mean, maybe, shit, who knows? At this point, maybe they both will survive. I don't know. I always felt like one of them has to go. There can only be one crossbow biker in town. But who knows? Maybe not. Maybe they can fight the war together or something. Maybe Daryl gets a hold of Dwight and kills him and then takes his role over. Damn, I don't know. That's what I would like to see most, is to see Daryl kill Dwight and then become Dweryl from the comics, which is what I like to call him when I do my cover reviews and stuff. Dweryl. So that's what I would like to see happen. Maybe some people would like to see Dwight kill Daryl, but it would have to be like a very big moment if they were going to do that. It'd have to be like a season finale or mid-season finale in like a battle sequence during All Out War or something. And I don't think they're going to do that, honestly. So I think they're either going to go both or they're going to choose Daryl. I can't see them choosing Dwight over Daryl. I just can't see it because of the fan following Norm Reedus and everything he does. Would you really? Like, if you were in charge, would you choose Dwight over Daryl? With that, I mean, if you're Gimple, if you're a showrunner and you're in charge of the show and you know how popular Norm Reedus is, would you kill him off in favor of? I don't know. I don't think I would. That's for sure. Anyway, wouldn't be good for the show. That's it for this one today, guys. Write your comments below. Let me know what you think, how you're feeling, and everything as we've been the last few days. If you like the video, please thumb it up below. You can share, you can favorite, and if you're new and you want to subscribe, bottom left to subscribe. Turn on the notifications. Add me on Twitter, guys. I'll add you back. Lots of fun. That's it for this video. See you guys again soon. It's Trev. Same peace. Later, guys. See you tomorrow. What do you want us to do? I don't know, viewer. How about a subscription? Do you think that might be in order? Or is that too much to ask?